In the shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. Together we'll leave the past behind. Welcome to Persevere Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Hallelujah. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Trauma whispers, but love will shout. In this space of trust, there's no doubt.
That is so
Explore
fun.
the depths of pain and grace, finding strength in every embrace. Welcome to Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives.
Hey, hey.
Take a breath, enjoy the ride. Together we'll walk side by side with open hearts and open minds. In this podcast
Right.
space, true peace we'll find. Welcome to
Hey.
Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story shared, we grow and learn. In this journey of healing, it's our turn. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Mindful moments equal prosperous lives. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma. Prosperity Podcast, a safe space for people healing from trauma.
I love that. All right. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey. So this week, everybody, this is the week of it's Christmas. It's Jesus' birthday on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Christmas. And I chose a special guest to highlight this week's episode because she has a powerful story. And she's hilarious. She's artistic. She just, I'm going to let her tell it. But before we get into that, welcome back. And today's topic is going to be loving yourself as you persevere. And I'm going to get into this disclaimer because we all got to respect the fact that the content does not just belong to me, don't just belong to Prosperity Podcast, but also the person that's on it as well. We want to be respectful that the things that they're sharing, and we get you have permission. So we get into that. All rights reserved. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, distributed, or transmitted in any form or by any means, including photocopying, recording, or other electronic or mechanical methods. You may not reproduce, distribute, publish, display, perform, modify, create, derive works from, transmit, post, or sell any of the content without the prior written consent of Destiny Smith, a Prosperity Podcast, and I'm putting this in here too, or the guests' permission as well. Unauthorized use of this podcast may violate copyright, trademark, and other laws. And I'm also going to go into the Prosperity Podcast disclaimer. The information provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you are experiencing mental health difficulties, please consult with a qualified mental health professional. The views and opinions expressed in the podcast are those of the individual speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast host or any other entity. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Prosperity Podcast, where we explore the journey of personal growth and self discovery. I'm Destiny Smith, your host, and today we have a very special guest joining us, Janiyah Mooring.
Yay! Those disclaimers were a mouthful. Whew.
Hey, you got to do it nowadays because it's a mental health podcast. I don't want to get sued. I don't want somebody to think the advice that you give and I'm giving that it's in place of what the right thing to do. We're
Yes.
not clinical. We not licensed, so we
Go
got
see the lady. Hey, I'm just speaking from what I've experienced. But yes, I'm so excited to be here. Like this feels really good.
yes, like I'm thrilled because like Janiyah, to introduce Janiyah, she is an inspiring advocate for self-love and resilience. Janiyah has dedicated her life to helping others embrace their true selves while navigating life's challenges. She loves like what they beat the face. She likes beating in the face. You know,
Okay.
makeup. She, oh my god, get with her. You ever in Atlanta? You know what I mean? And if you feeling like you got the money enough, fly out so she can go ahead and do your makeup.
Yeah,
And
come check us out. Be Me Down Cosmetics.
that part. And
Hmm.
her insights are sure to resonate with anyone looking to cultivate a deeper sense of self-worth in relationship with God. In today's episode, we'll be diving into the powerful topic of loving yourself as you persevere. We'll discuss practical strategies for maintaining self-love during tough times and how embracing our imperfections can lead to greater strength and resilience. Um, and at this point, I want to give Janiyah the platform. You know, just want to shout out your business. I used to Beat Me Down Cosmetics, and also share some stuff about you.
Of course, of course. So, I am from Baltimore, Maryland. I recently just turned 22. Yesterday was
You
my
said,
birthday. Woo, woo, woo.
where are you from?
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore.
Hmm. Yeah, you know it.
It's from me, Baltimore.
No, but I am a rising senior at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, majoring in marketing with a business administration. Okay, find a way or make one. You know it. I'm currently just navigating my way through my career right now, working in HR, seeing what fits and what doesn't. I also am a makeup artist. Beat Me Down Cosmetics here in Atlanta, Georgia. Be sure to check us out. Beat Me Down Cosmetics on all platforms. And yeah, I dibble and dabble into a lot of other things as well.
Janiyah is talented. She trying to just, she's a content creator. If you ever on TikTok, it's entertaining. I watch her videos sometimes. I remember she did one of me. Y'all
Yes.
You know, she ain't mentioned me, but I'm just saying that video still cracks me up.
No, literally, it's so funny. I think it's so sweet. I think it was in reference to you being an ally to the LGBTQIA community. It was so funny.
Look, I was trying to be understanding y'all in the sense of like, you know what I mean? Like during the time, what was it? They're saying be proud of your
Be who you are for your pride. That's like the theme song of June. Like I feel like every single day of June I will sing that
and
doing LGBT.
I was trying to be supportive. Like I don't know
Mm.
if you want to share, but you know, because Janiyah is a part of
Yes,
that
I am
community,
bisexual.
and I wanted to be respectful and be like, you know what? Happy gay day. You know what I mean? Like I
And you,
one of
it's
my
just
friends.
it's so hilarious, but like the love is there, so you can't even knock it. You cannot even knock
You
it.
know what I mean? Because I mean, we won't get into that too. Like, I know how certain people see that community and just in general, and a lot of people might be like, "That's why you trying to be an ally." It's not that I'm trying to be an ally. God said love everybody, you know, regardless, and we shouldn't judge people. And I'm just a person where it's just like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like leave people alone. Let people be
Yes.
who they are. So
I'm a firm believer in that. You really should just allow people to show up how they feel best with them. And at the end of the day, you're not with me. Why does it matter to me?
that part, that part, that part, that part. Yes. You know what I mean? But let's get into some of these questions. You ready?
Mhm. I'm ready. Clock it.
All right. So we know you grew up in Baltimore. Baltimore.
Yes.
And how has that influenced your journey towards self love?
Well, I did grow up in Baltimore, Maryland. Most times when you hear people refer to Baltimore, you'll hear them. like mostly speaking on like the rough parts of Baltimore, like the inner city and things of that sort. I kind of grew up on the outskirts and the suburbs, but a lot of those inner city kids and families migrated to the spaces that I was in, as well as my family grew up in rougher parts of Baltimore City. So I kind of was just in those spaces, but not submerged in those spaces, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So I didn't really have any siblings to, look up to. All I had was my mother and my grandmother. I feel personally that Baltimore, Maryland has influenced my self love a lot, my self love journey a lot, just simply because I've always felt different. I'm not sure if it was because I grew up an only child, but from a very young age, I was always able to pinpoint the fact that I wasn't like the rest of my cousins, or I wasn't like the rest of the people at the church, or I wasn't like the rest of the people who were in those areas or in the areas that I was in. My mother always found a way and made a way, and I was just always privileged enough to never had to wonder where my next meal was coming from. So I always was able to acknowledge that, hey, I am in a different position than them. How could I help them? So, and I think through that, it has allowed me to help myself. Honestly, being able to see my mother taking families for Christmas, quite literally, like we shared our Christmases together. It made me understand my sense of purpose kind of at a very young age, and which is really just to bring joy to people and make as many positive impacts on as many people as I can. So, and I think through that, I have just grown to love myself. How can I show compassion and be there for somebody else if I'm not doing that for myself? But I'm also able to just acknowledge and give myself grace, like, life is life and life be life. So sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches.
I love that. Okay. All right. All right.
Hmm.
So, can you share a funny or lighthearted moment from your life that taught you something about self acceptance?
I think it is actually pretty funny, but the first story that comes up to mind is my 10th birthday party. So we are all at Dave and Buster's, and it was kind of a rough time for my mother, but even in those times, if she did not, like, she would communicate and say like, "Hey, I can't do this for you right now," but she also would find a way to at least make something small and make it work. So for my 10th birthday, I wanted a pink blow dryer, and I got my pink blow dryer, but I also had on one of those clip-on ponytails, that, the ones that you just put on and you clap on. So
Yeah.
when I got the blow dryer, I got so super excited that my ponytail fell off, and I had to drop down, and like I really was just like, oh my god, like, not my ponytail falling off in Dave and Buster's. That's so embarrassing. But then I realized, like, at the end of the day, I got what I wanted, and I feel good. So I mean, like, if somebody sees me, then they see me, and I think that just goes to show that at the end of the day, a lot of the feelings that we have around ourselves really it stems from ourselves, of course, but we only feel that way about ourselves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nobody was really checking for me in my ponytail. For real. I feel like it was definitely a good laughing moment too. It also helped me realize how much I love making people laugh. I enjoy making people laugh so much.
I know we had a whole conversation about who was the funniest.
And y'all already know it's me, but I'm not gonna lie, like I feel as though I'm the kind of funny where I have like comedic timing. So I can come in any kind of conversation and drop in something funny. It's like, how did you come up with that so quick? Destiny is just outright funny. Like, Destiny is just like, girl. And then I think it also, some of the things that she says, you probably would not expect her to say. And I just be caught off guard. I'm like, ah. Oh, come on.
Now, some people they don't know that side. They be like, some people like, why she got a resting bitch face? Like, why she like she don't want to be bothered? And I'm like, little do you know that no,
Lit- Little do you know. And sometimes, though, that is such a crazy thing to me. There is really some people on this earth who think I don't open my mouth at all.
yeah, you can be quiet for sure.
Sometimes.
Janiyah the type to dip off. You talking about bears hibernating? She'll hibernate and come back. Hey, everybody! Like she ain't like never left. They like ain't never went MIA. She be ready to start back up conversation. I'm like, I texted you about 6 months ago.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing?
Like, and not, hey, how you doing? How's it been? Like, no, we start right back where we were.
You know, but just to speak on that, though, sometimes I think about it quite often when I look over to my calendar. I look over to my calendar, and it like currently it's still stuck in February of 2024, and I kind of like ponder on that as far as like my mental health. Like, okay, like is it because I'm stuck in this particular month? Like, what about this month that I was not able to move forward how I envisioned myself to, or I wasn't able to stick to the routines that I would like to set for myself.
That's good.
So sometimes I just think about that. Sometimes I be stuck in time. Time gets away from me.
Speaking of that,
Jesus. Amen.
her birthday, Janiyah just celebrated a birthday yesterday.
Yes.
And you celebrated one in September, right?
October. Mm-hmm.
October. I'm sorry, it's
Yeah.
October. Now, can you tell the people about the other birthday?
Oh, yes. Okay. So one day in 2021, October 11th to be specific, I woke up. I said, today feels like my birthday. And ever since then, it has been my birthday, and I made it a point to not only share it with everybody and let them know that I have two birthdays so that they can be prepared. I also encourage them to have two birthdays themselves. I feel like who is to say that I can't have two birthdays? And I'm celebrating my life twice in the year, not just once. Thank you.
I just
But I'll go ahead.
I was gonna say this, like the people that are watching now you understand me. You understand me, then you understand why I'm friends with the people I am. Because it just be like, what in the foolery? But it makes sense to us. Don't
It
judge.
Okay, we get it. Destiny is still finding her second birthday. It's not kind of like a calculated thing. You just have to wake up and feel it. You know what I mean? But honestly, I think it also symbolized kind of where I was at that time in my life. I was still in the dorms. I still like had a roommate, still in college, and just feeling a lot of different things with friends, navigating school, navigating trying to find a job. And I think it kind of just symbolized like a rebirth. Honestly, I feel like I wanted to wake up and know that I was on the path that I know I should be, or that the path that God set for me, that I'm destined for. So sometimes, you just gotta switch it up on them.
Hey, it makes sense to me. It ain't gotta
Mm-hmm.
make sense to anybody else, but if it makes sense to you and you got people around that love you and they're not judging the situation, it's to each his own. It's important to celebrate yourself
True.
because the God in the spiritual aspect, they say that the day that you give your life to God is your spiritual. That's your birthday. That's the time that you
Mm-hmm.
give to God. I've heard it from the church, some churches that I've gone to, that they say that that is a day to definitely share with the fact that okay, well, I was born again. I was
Mm-hmm.
baptized. I gave my life to God. So, but yeah, we'll move through some of these questions. How do you define self love, and why do you think it's important for personal growth?
How do I define self love? I think that question kind of stumps me because it's such a like subjective question. How would I define self love? That would be for me. I can't define self love for somebody else. I can say that self love for me looks like remaining disciplined, continuing to navigate my journey through consistency, continuing to be intentional around at least attempting to pour in the relationships that I have grown. I think I've gotten to a point in my life where I'm no longer just trying to find those relationships, but I have to also maintain those things. And not even just relationships in general, but just everything in my life. Like, okay, I have these things, but you also have to maintain them. So, self love is really just continuously putting yourself in the best position to prosper and find your path, and you walk on that path. And yeah, so self love is just pouring into yourself in the way that you need, whatever that may look like. That's how I feel. What
Very
was the
good.
second question?
So the it was two-parter question. So
Yeah.
um why do you think it's important for personal growth?
I don't think we can grow without any self love, honestly. Because a very harsh realization that I learned through college is that no one is coming to save you. Of course, you can have people who pour into you, you can have people who are there for you, with you through anything and everything. But even in that same breath, nobody is coming to save you. It does not matter if your parents have $100,000 million. It does not matter if you have all of the friends in the world. No one is coming to save you. And if you don't put in that work for you, then it won't happen. So I think trying to move through life and move through your journey without loving yourself is just a I kind of feel like it's impossible, but I do feel like it's a major disservice to yourself. How can you? That's just like trying to grow a plant, pouring soda into it or something. I don't know. Like, you can't,
I
you
get
can't, you cannot do that. So I think it just is, I think it's imperative. I think it's actually a non-negotiable. And like back to my first point though, it looks different for everybody. So like if you're on your journey and you know that you cuss at people a lot and you just know that that's something that you want to change, you have to love yourself through that and say, okay, what is the reason why I even cuss at people? Why do people make me this upset?
Mhm.
And how do I navigate through these things? So, you know, that self love through the journey is what's gonna get you through, honestly, because that self love, you begin to grow patience and grace with yourself, and you begin to learn yourself in different ways, not in the ways that was put on you by the world, the exterior world.
That's good. That's really good. Thank you for sharing that. That's good. And going into my next question, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I do want to put that out there. I do have some very, personal questions or just silly challenging questions. But can you describe a time when you struggled with self love? What helped you overcome that challenge?
And okay, before I answer the question, I'll just preface this with a little background information. I am the kind of person who is confident in themselves, and I've been confident in myself from a very young age, like from birth. It was something that was instilled in me. And everybody around my family, even just as a young child, always just instilled that confidence in me, gratefully. So, struggling with like self-love looks a lot different for me, I feel like, because it isn't kind of like the superficial things, such as, oh, like I don't like my size. Oh, and just also, I was at one point like 354 pounds, and that's not like a strike at bigger people, but I it was a this is a topic on TikTok right now. The world will treat you different once you lose weight. So I'm gonna just leave that right there. I'm saying all of this to say that struggling with self love looks like stopping all of the habits that are holding me back. And I feel like I'm currently in that right now. Just transparently, um, it's really difficult because at the point that I'm at now, it's kind of like you do it or you don't, and uh, it gets hard. It gets hard. How do I overcome it? I overcome it by remaining in that space of hurrying the hell up and having grace. I keep myself in the middle of that, especially because I know that I'm young, and I know that I'm young, but I know there's a lot that I want to do, and I know that I was not put on this earth to be your average Joe. I was not put on this earth to do some of the things that I'm doing right now, like just stand in my own world and not pouring out to people the way that I could. But also the grace aspect of that is I have life, and life is a lot between school, work, other things that I go through, like in relationships and family issues and things of that sort. Like a lot of that takes a toll. And while I'm still just learning how to regulate my own emotions and navigate through those hard times, I just have to understand that at the end of the day, some things still have to get done. And people don't really care. People don't care. So I have to care for myself. And I think that is really just how I overcome it, or how I am overcoming it. Just caring for myself, whether that is, a self-care day, maintaining my spaces, my car, my house, just making sure that those look up to par, and they make me feel good, especially because those are places that I'm at a lot. Or just mm, promoting the culture of my workplace and facilitating that spirit, making sure that when I go to work, I can be positive and have that rub off on other people so that when they come, they can also feel that as well. And that could be work could be an escape for them. Sometimes work is an escape for me as well. I get to go there and all I gotta do is be happy and make other people happy. Hey, sound cool to me. You know what I mean? So definitely caring for myself in a short answer.
You know,
And it takes time. It definitely takes time, and I just remember nobody is coming to save me. I am in control of my life, and my life is in my hands. So the decisions that I make, but it will direct that.
beautifully said. Thanks for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Because I gotta say, like, it was times when I was at CAU, because I recently graduated. I'm an alumni of Clark Atlanta University, um, class of May 2024.
Okay, get into it. Okay.
Right? Throw it up.
Okay. Oh wait, we should make that the thumbnail.
Right. Okay, good,
Super
good.
cute.
Okay. So, but um, when I was like there, like you don't know how many times like you helped me get through so much because of your humor, just laughing with you and just hanging out. That one time we went to karaoke, I enjoyed myself. I still had that video. That was hilarious. Just hanging out with all those random people and just no expectation. It was just no expectation to be anything else. When you can hang out with people and you don't have to be anything but yourself, that is the most amazing environment that you could be in. And I appreciate that because that's all I needed. So
It's truly a blessing. It's a blessing that some people don't ever have the chance to feel, or they don't get to feel it until later in life because of all of the different facades. And I mean, of course, now technology and social media has catapulted that to heights that we have never seen before. But just truly and honestly, I just love to surround myself with people who love to show up as them, as their selves. because I get to love you as you. I don't have to love you for anything else except for you. And for the record, we had a ball that night. Like it was literally a Spider-Man. It was so crazy how everything happened, but it was so fun. It really was.
I,
And times like that really are cherished, genuinely.
yes, we gotta do it again when I come back to Atlanta. I'm back
Yeah.
home right now, but we gotta do it again.
Yeah.
But my next question is like going back to when you say you used to be 324 pounds. How did you lose that weight, if you'd like to share? And did you have struggles with self love during that time?
Okay. First part. I had weight loss surgery when I was 16. I had the gastric sleeve. So I dropped that weight pretty quickly. And like I said, if I had to scale my self love at my biggest, it was an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being I love myself the most. So I left. I was at an 8, and I mean I was what 16 years old, so I don't think that's too far off. I think that's really good for a 16-year-old, especially knowing how the world treats bigger people and even kids alone. Kids are mean. Okay, kids are mean. So yeah, I had the gastric sleeve, and I don't think that the gastric sleeve affected my self love for me. In a negative way. I I don't even know if it even affected it in a positive way. What I can say though is I did notice the effect that it had on the outside world towards me. And like I became more attractive. I feel like a lot more people were more they were more accepting to me and more accepting to my personality, who I am. Sometimes, I can be quiet, but I am a very outgoing, loud person. And some people don't get my jokes. Some people don't get me. Some people don't vibe with me and how I am. And that is 100,000% okay because the people who buy with me, they're with me, and that's all that matters, and they're for me, and I'm for them because I understand them and they understand me. So I really don't think that it affected me in my self love.
Like, what would you share with the young girls that are suffering with weight problems? I wanted to pose that question correctly. With problems with their weight, like, well, challenges with their weight.
I just want to first make the point that I didn't need to get the gastric sleeve. At one point in like my younger days, I was in the gym every single morning before school. Every single morning before school, my mother and I, we would get up, we would go to the gym, and I would go to school after. So I think it was more definitely so of a mental thing. I think I believe if you have the discipline at a very young age to lock in and say, hey, I'm going to change my eating habits and I'm going to change it because I worked out. I just wasn't changing what I was eating. And it was also kind of just hard to do so when I was just hungry. Like I was very hungry.
So
But mhm.
you tell like was it challenging for your mom? Did your mom feel like it was a lot for her, or like
Yes.
surgery
Um,
about?
hmm?
How did the surgery come about? Like that's a two
Oh,
parter.
great. I vividly remember feeling bad because my mother felt like she could not help me, or my mindset was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I definitely believe if my mother presented it in a different way, where it's not like, oh no, you need to do this, you getting too big, and we need to cut that back. I feel like I would have been definitely more open to it. But I was in a lot of different things. Like I was in fat camp for years. Okay, it was really a fitness summer camp, but I call it fat camp because I mean that's what we would sit
Have
there and work out.
you ever seen this movie Heavyweights? I ain't gonna make
No,
you gotta watch this movie. It was really good. It's actually about fat camp.
I'm
And
telling you, like we would go to summer camp and work out every day, like with. But I did feel for her sometimes because what is she supposed to do when the main concern about obesity is the effects on your physical health? And that right there is that's what I would stress to younger girls. Physical health, quality of life, okay? I loved myself, like I said, I loved myself at my biggest, but I don't want to ever be that big again because the quality of life was not as good as it is now. And that does not mean attractiveness, that doesn't mean anything outside of my actual physical health. I even how I navigated spaces, like going to the mall, going out, exploring different places. I used to get upset because we had to walk extra, and it wasn't because I was lazy. It would genuinely tire me out. It would tire me out to have to walk that extra 5 steps, or to even have to think about going all the way down there. Like I used to live in a 4-story house. I was only going up and down those steps one time because it was just genuinely tired. So I would definitely stress the quality of life. The quality of life. You want to live a long and prosperous life. So, in order to do that, you have to make sure that your physical health is intact. But with all of that being said, the conversation around the surgery came up because we were just trying to find different ways and different avenues to give me that quality of life. I believe so. And what I've noticed so far in different patterns is that like when I'm not sure what to do, I usually just fall back on whatever my mother did. And my grandmother and my mother, they both had the gastric bypass. But since I was 16 at the time, I was only able to get the gastric sleeve. I got the gastric sleeve at Children's Hospital in Washington, D.C. It was a very smooth process, but all in all, it on a scale of 1 to 10, I think if I had to rate it being necessary, it would be like a 5. I'm in the middle. Once again, like I said, it did provide that it provided a better quality of life and it helped, but I don't think it was necessary. While we were trying to find different avenues on how to just get me to lose weight, and I think that was the thing. I was not losing weight, I was gaining weight, and I was like consistently gaining weight. I was like 12 years old wearing a size 24. And also, me being that young and me being that big, how I'm perceived as well. I'm often perceived as a grown woman. It was so many times where I said my age and they're like, oh, huh? Even now, like I feel like I get that, but I think that's just because I present myself as a more mature person and I just look a little bit older. But I was 16 and they're like you 16. One person even said, "Oh, that's a big 16." So you know how you're perceived as a plus size young girl is really saddening sometimes, especially by the men. That was a lot of the scariest things, especially by the men. So I think just trying to get out of those worries and like I said, quality of life. It was a lot. It was a toll on me and her. So she brought it up one day. She brought up the surgery and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And then we got into the process of it. I did 6 months with a psychiatrist, and after that, everything was that everything.
so you feel good that you did that? Like meaning as in like you're good with that. Not
Yeah,
that it's nothing wrong with it, but you know, would you
I
recommend
definitely.
to a 16-year-old?
Would I recommend it to a 16-year-old? No. I
Anybody
would.
young.
Oh, anybody young, like anybody under the age of 18, most likely not. Just simply because you're still growing. You are still growing and you will encounter different things. But I also feel like my main thing about what was wrong about when I did it, my mental wasn't there. Like I felt like I did try as much as I could, but my mental just genuinely was not there. I was not disciplined enough to follow the directions that they gave me, and I just genuinely didn't care about it. So I think that's just my main concern about it. The younger people getting against your sleeve, you have to be there mentally to want to follow these steps and make sure that you're okay with your physical health after, because they told me it changes your stomach and not your mind, and they meant that. Okay, so many times I found myself just feeling like, oh, so sick because I ate too much, or even now to this day I can't eat something too sweet because I'm like, oh no, like I might puke. Okay, I might puke. So I would not recommend the gastric sleeve, especially as a first option to anybody over the age of 18. I do feel like if you, I mean, under the age of 18, I do feel like if you hit a point in your journey though where you do feel like it's not going anywhere, even with you eating right and working out or just being physical, then maybe that is something that you should look into. But it does not change your mind, it changes your body. So you just have to be mentally prepared for that.
So I got a question because there's some parents out here that are dealing with kids that are obese at young ages, and they are possibly dealing with the challenge of what do they do. So can you speak to the parents out there that as the child that was dealing with that, how can they show up for their kids, and what should
I
they not?
know. Okay. I know for me personally, and the kind of person that I am, I really wanted to be told, like, hey, like, there isn't an issue with you. Granted, I did love myself. I still do love myself. I was very confident in myself, how I looked, and all of those other good things. I wanted, but it also still just felt like I was the issue. So don't make them feel like they're an issue because of how big they are. And I think honestly, now where we're at with technology, the obesity rates will continue to rise. So you just have to make it a point to get active with your child. Like I said, my mother and I, we got up every morning and went to the gym. That was something that we did together. So it was like a point of bonding. And did I want to get up every morning? No. Did she have to yell down the steps maybe 2 or 3 times to wake me up? Yes. But now every time I talk about that era of my life or that space and time in my life, I look back and I say, like, I enjoyed that for what it was because we were able to both work to a common goal. So I think one, you should just make it so that you guys are working together.
Mhm.
You know, even if it's you as the parent, you want to be more physical and you also want to facilitate your child losing a little bit more weight, you could say, hey, let's go on walks every morning, because now it's no longer just about me being a big child and me having to lose weight. It's also us bonding. It's also us getting to know each other better. It's also us just pouring into our connection as a child and a parent. So I think just make sure that you don't make them the issue. Make sure that you're continuously bonding with them, pouring into them, their confidence, their self-love. You are showing them what that looks like. You have to show them what that looks like. Because even as children, as teenagers, we don't know. They don't know, and they are still trying to figure it out. Especially with, kids are mean, especially little kids or kids who don't have parents or people around them to say, "Hey, don't say that." You don't have to say that to people. You keep some things to yourself. Some people don't have those people around them. So you have to also teach your child how to navigate through that and stand up for themselves. So I think those are the three major things. Don't make them feel like that they're the issue. Make it a point to use physical activity or fitness as a bonding time, and continuously pour into them and their confidence and their self love.
That's good because, and I tell you, you're going to help so many parents and children that are watching this podcast, because a lot of people they check in because, again, this is a safe space for people healing from trauma, no matter what that looks like, and people to come and get understanding of things that they may not have understanding of, and like, you don't look like what you're going through. And people need to understand that we need to stop judging for what we don't know what somebody had to go through to get to where they're at. Because despite that, you say you were 324 pounds, that in weight, you have like a 324-pound heart. Your heart is so big. Like, you have the most beautiful heart. And I feel like that right there, when you can go from that and to come to where you are and have that big heart that you have, it's just, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful thing. That means that it was God in it. God preserved you and continues to give you this spirit of resilience and perseverance because of what He has in you for other people. Because when you get to going, you'll speak into people, and it's not just with the makeup; it's the conversation. It's just your aura and just the general of just how you carry your story. It's just, it was so much poise because it's needed. What you're saying is completely needed in society because you're giving a black perspective, a cultural perspective.
Yes, and that is, I think that's really a big key point, because a lot of our experience as Black women are completely different from the rest of the world. And I grew up in a house with all Black women. My father died when I was 2 years old. And I mean, my mother got married, but then she got divorced about 5 years later. So most of my coming to age years, like from like 10 to like 18, it was my mother, my grandmother, and my aunt, and they lived with us. I was just I like to point that out. They lived with us. We weren't like struggling or anything. They wanted to help out with me. They wanted to help my mother out. So they were there with us, and just to see my mother and my grandmother just always figure it out. They always made a way for me. But not only did they always make a way for me, they always were a helping hand to someone else. Whether that's cooking a plate of food, whether that's taking in the family for Christmas, whether that's buying clothes, whether that's helping out with rent money. Like, and I know it can be very tiring, but I think that is what preserved my 300-pound heart, because I just was able to view them and see what they do and say, okay, like I I I understand. I understand. I understand where I am in my life, and I understand the position that I am in and what that means. When you are in a certain position, you have certain responsibilities, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So, if I want to be this, or if I want to do that, then these are some of the things that you have to do.
Facts. Sum that up is, you are around a lot of love and unconditional love, and that's a key in that too. Like, you have to not just love your child, love on your child, and it takes a village. Because if everybody's telling you, yeah, you should need to do this with your child, or then you shouldn't. Your cousin telling you shouldn't love yourself and all that. It don't work. You know what I mean? And it's just, I just know God has so many great things that He's gonna do in your life. I know you just like, I don't know what I want to do. One minute I want to do this, one minute I do it, but I'm telling you, like, that's because you're so creative. And with that, like, you're an advocate in so many areas for so many things. And I just feel like God didn't create you just to do that one thing. You're supposed to be in many spaces. So I encourage you to tap into God and what He's saying for 2025 for Janiyah, because I know 2025 is going to shock Janiyah for what he's going to show up and show out and do.
Yes, and I'm just truly excited. I always love to say, like, Lord, just show me how good it can get. Show me how good it can get. But to back to the previous point, I also feel like I don't know if I made it a point or if I don't know if I was super intentional around it. But a lot of my friends, they are black women, but they are black successful women, and they are also black women who pour into me. Y'all don't understand how many times Destiny has helped me out just simply with the words that she says to me. Even right now, you don't know everything that you're pouring into me, everything that you're saying into me, it really means a lot to me right now. And it always means a lot to me. And I'm always able to look up and say, oh, okay, yeah, Destiny on that. Destiny on her stuff. But I'm also able to say that about any of the women around me. So it just always feels super good when I'm able to not even just look up, but I'm able to look to my left and my right, and I feel inspired, and I feel all of that love from them, and it also empowers me to pour that love back out.
That's thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that because like you pour into me just as much as I pour into you. Because I feel like sometimes you might call and you be like, I don't want Destiny to think that I just always need somebody to talk to. And we be having a ball. When I be on the phone, I be like, just Janiyah. I'll be cracking up. And then my mom's just like, is that Janiyah? Is that my buddy?
Mm-hmm. It is.
And she just get a kick out of the fact that you got that two birthdays.
I love it. I really do. I love talking to you. It's always a good time, but we're also able just to tap into those feelings, and we're able to tap into those topics that people don't talk about.
Oh yeah, I'm a deep person. I'm very deep. I'm very intellectual. So we have deep conversations, no matter who you are. If I get there with you, we having deep conversations. I'm getting you thinking. I'm getting those brain juices going, and
Mhm.
I'm an encourager because I want to see everybody win, and I want them to see their full potential and the vision that God has for them. Because that's just who I am. Like I'm a person that sometimes I lead with my heart and I talk with my heart, and I want people at all times to see my heart, even when I'm guarding.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to give you the opportunity to ask me questions because as we get ready to wrap up this podcast, ask away.
Okay, okay, okay. What is some advice that you would give not some advice, what would you say to 22-year-old Destiny right now?
I would tell her that hold on to your faith because the love was worth the wait. That hurt and that pain was worth what the hurt and the pain and all those things, but loving was worth the wait because you have an abundance of love now.
Yes. Okay. I have another one cooking up. I have another one cooking up. Is there any advice or is there anything that you could say to more people in my position right now navigating college? Yeah, we met in college, so we all know the struggles of just classes, love, friends, social life, all of it. What is some advice you would give to somebody who is navigating college and they feel like they're lacking in that self love, or what are some tips for self love during college specifically?
First off, college is about networking. Network. You ain't got to be close buddy with somebody, but network. You know what I mean? Be cordial, build bridges, and don't burn them down. Um, Learn to be cordial unless somebody really do some cutthroat stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and there some people kids that go to school and they got cutthroat parents, so they do cutthroat stuff and they don't know any better. So give grace. School, you focus on them grades and all that stuff because when you're inside of those walls of that school, that degree is for you. Once you walk outside of those gates and you graduate, that's for them. That's for everybody that you're going to apply that degree to, because you learn what you need to learn for you. You had your time, your party, and all that stuff. Make sure you get everything you need to get, because when you step out in the real world, it don't matter what you did in those four walls. It matters how you applied yourself. GPA don't really matter for real when you're out here. Now, unless like some positions, yeah, but it really don't matter. What matters is that how did you carry yourself? Did you get those internships? Did you get the opportunity to network with this person and that person? Networking is important. Going to an HBCU, they kind of just push the fact that networking with people that look like you is it. Network with many different people, because you don't know what doors those are going to open. Um, Self love wise, it's okay to go to a party or two, but don't let that party or two turn into 22, 24, 25, and then you start prioritizing that, because it's easy to get sucked into what everybody else is doing. And you don't want to be like everybody else. Be your individual self. So when you are with everybody else, you know your boundaries of being at that party and the time you want to leave. So set boundaries for yourself. We say goals, but boundaries are separate from goals, because you know what you want to do, but if you had that boundary, you know what you have to do. So
Hmm.
that
Okay, and I have one last question. Um, it's slipping me right now. Of course it would be. I feel okay, hold up. What is oh no. What are some things that you did personally while going through different traumatic times in your life to maintain that self love for yourself
hmm.
or
um
lift yourself up? Like, what does picking you up look like, or how could you know?
it meant distancing myself from people when I wasn't in the right space. And I lacked self love in myself when I was in those spaces and stuff. But what got me back was learning how to ground. My therapist was like, "You got to ground. Go outside and put your feet in the soil." What you talking about? I'm downtown Atlanta. I can't put my feet in the soil. It They be peeing in this little square plant area. That's not what I'm doing. So I had to find the self love and the care of understanding of what grounding looked like to me, whether that's buying a whole bunch of Dr. Teal, but body wash, because they got different scents and stuff, or if that was just like just taking a shower and just like cooking me a meal and just watching TV, or just getting on the phone and talking to somebody. That was important to me. But I had limit. I mean, you know my story. I'll share that with you. But I had a limitation on who was my support team, and I still graduation was amazing, but it it hurt because my graduation consisted of, I love my godmom. I love Miss Freeman. It was Miss Freeman. That's my best friend, Terica, my cousin, um, Milana Austin, a well-known political reporter in DC. Well, we like that's my sis. And her friend at my graduation, and I wish I would have had more, but God didn't permit that. So I had to learn in that moment, like that day, of what self love was, because you helped me with that. Because when you did my makeup, I was scared. It was things were going wrong. You already knew who my roommate was, so I was already irritated with a lot going on. But and my face, you be my face, and I was in my I was like, yes, I'm ready. So
Mhm.
you helped me with that. You definitely helped me with that throughout that last semester, and just with the going to karaoke, and then even with the graduation. So, stepping outside the box and getting the makeup done, and um, giving yourself grace. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, you did. Because the question was tailored to you. Like I said, self love it's a subjective topic because what might work for you won't work for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I think we are pretty similar in a lot of ways. So distancing myself is definitely some self love things for me.
But now I self love, but I just be like, I'm not finna deal with it. I'm not finna deal with that. And sometimes that's my trauma talking. Like, look, Is that really that person really bothering you? Is that really an issue, or are you trying to protect yourself? So I am learning that too. Self love is also correcting yourself when you blocking love in your life.
Self love is
Love
clocking your own teeth.
that
Okay.
that part because you somebody you want love and want to be loved and cared for and you want all this stuff, but then you come in and then you acting like that. Like, come
It,
on. Because God,
you know.
we serve a funny God because he'd be like, oh, I'm ready for my husband. And then turn around. He just like, all right, let me send somebody in your life. Friendships get you ready for those serious relationships, such as marriage. Because
Mhm.
friendship is a deeper relationship of connection. It's not intimate. It's not sexually intimate, but it's intimate on a different level because it's teaching you about how you love, how you communicate, how you understand certain things, your tolerance level. If you're going to do this or that for that individual. That's why we have those friendships that are either unhealthy that we attract or healthy because it's teaching us, are we going to attract healthy relationships with people and be stable? And some people have healthy relationships in their life with people, friends, and still have unhealthy relationships. But that's because I feel like they want the sense of control. Stability
Mhm.
looks way too stable. They don't want that. They be like, let me rock the boat a little bit. Then the boat get real rocky and you realize I ain't no boat there no more. I done tore it up.
And I think that was a really great point though. Friendships are intimate on a different level because they're intimate without sex. And a lot of people like they catch their intimacy at sexual activity in general. So, to be able to show yourself to somebody and open up yourself with somebody without having any kind of sexual activity is something different.
That part. That part. And on that note, I'm gonna close out. I want to thank you so much, Janiyah, for sharing your insights. I encourage all the listeners to reflect on your own journey of self-love. If this resonated with you, please comment under the video, like it, share, give Janiyah a shout out. Again, her business is Beat Me Down Cosmetics. She's located in Atlanta, but she travels too. You want to, pay for her flight and all that stuff to come out and do your makeup. She is really, really good. You don't just get just the service. You getting laughter, you getting a good time. So you want to be blessed. Um, but you can follow, if you would like, please follow Prosperity Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe, please subscribe. Just listen, you all. Please like that button. Like it.
Like it. Let the algorithm know that you like us so it can show us you. And you show us, yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
Because you,
But
yeah, I know your subscribers are listening, and if they listening, look, you love Janiyah, show me some love too, and share the video. Subscribe, please.
okay, subscribe, like, comment, interact, baby, because we in here. What's that?
That part. And I just want, just thank you for joining us today in the enlightening episode of of, of well, I'm just gonna go ahead and end the episode. For some reason, I think Janiyah's phone went out, but I just want to thank her for just coming on for this episode, and thank you for tuning in to this episode. And I hope that you found the conversation with Janiyah about loving yourself self as you persevere, both inspiring and empowering. And just to wrap it up, we talked about how self love is essential. We explored how loving yourself is not just a luxury but a necessity, especially during challenging times, and that sometimes self love is subjective, and that it's important to love your children or love your regardless if it's your young adult or older adult. Love yourselves. Um, Body shaming is not okay. Bullying is not okay. Um, Somebody's weight should never determine your ability to want to make them feel less than themselves. And just love you because God made you that way. And if you're glad to get surgery or whatever that may be, so be it. It's nobody else's business. You were still beautiful before. You're beautiful now. And parents, give your kids grace. Give your kids grace. Give them the option if they decide to do something different with their bodies. And like Janiyah said, they Make it fun. Go to the gym, take them to the park, do something active with them. Show them that you are supporting them without having to make them feel bad about their weight. Um, and like so, some actionable tips on how to practice self compassion and resilience every day in your life. Talk to God, talk to God, talk to God. Get into your Bible, get into the Word. Talk to God because that's important because we are nothing without Him. We're completely nothing. We way too in tune with God to not. We should all be in tune with God and always feel that we should run to Him when times or troubles or issue whatever it is. And again, God made you in His perfect image. So if you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe to my podcast. You never want to miss an episode because it's always a good time. It's always good. And we would also greatly appreciate if you can leave us a review under the videos. You ain't even gotta watch this one, write a review. And just let me know like what your favorite podcast episode is. And feel free to inbox me on Instagram at Prosperity Podcast or Facebook. I'm always up for feedback. Even text me if you're looking at this and you see how can I do better. I know many of you are gonna be like, oh, she got the background. Yes, because I actually have a platform now where I'm paying for. And I just want to let you know your feedback helps me reach more listeners, and your shares helps me reach more listeners. And I've had so many great reviews of guests being here and they felt liberated, or they were blessed, or I'm getting feedback that people are going to therapy. They're going to therapy. They're getting therapists. They're doing the work, And I love y'all. I love y'all for tuning in. I really do. And additionally, don't forget to connect with us. Please don't forget to connect with us. Whenever you may um, feel like a topic is needed, let me know because I want to pray to God to who I should bring on the podcast to fulfill that topic because it's always God first. But thank you once again for tuning in. And remember, as you persevere through life's challenges, always prioritize loving yourself. Until next time, keep sharing the podcast, keep learning, keep loving yourself, and just keep shining bright like the diamond you are. Like Rihanna said, until next week, be blessed and always, always trust God because He got you. Into the outro. Thank you,
Through the
Naya.
shadows we find our light. Through the struggles we will take flight. Healing hearts and mending minds. Together we'll leave the past behind. Welcome to Prosperity Podcast, where hope is found. Voices rising up, breaking new ground. With every story
See
shared,
you
we
next
grow and
week.
learn. In this journey of
Bye.
healing,
I
it's
love you
our
all. This is
turn.
officially
Mindful moments equal
episode 6,
prosperous
I think it is.
lives.
This is
We'll
episode
lead
6. All
mindful
right, tune in.
moments
God is doing
equal
great things. Love
prosperous
you all.
lives.
Bye.